Good evening, you're watching Nation at 9. I am Gauri Dwivedi. Now, when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon in 1969, he had one thing to say. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I begin by quoting Neil Armstrong because for far too long, we've known space through the eyes of the West. But that's soon changing, and for the best. The time isn't far when people across the world will be quoting our astronauts and scientists. For that's where India is headed. On 7th of September, India took that giant leap for mankind. What we've achieved is nothing short of praiseworthy. It's in fact fascinating when you study the circumstances under which we launched our first satellite, when two men with a team of enthusiasts put together the pieces in a church gallery, carried it on a bicycle. And so far, we've come from those days. Yes, there was a slight blip. We may not have achieved all that we wanted, but that's the beauty of science. There's only success and learning, and no failures. For India to reach so close to the moon in the very first attempt is a matter of great pride. So let's celebrate ISRO today. Let's celebrate our scientists. Let's celebrate their genius that's striving every day to make India the most cost-effective and efficient space power. As Prime Minister rightly said, we may have lost communication, but we haven't lost hope. This is just the beginning, and a beginning that's brought together 1.3 billion Indians in a way that hasn't been seen before. We felt together as a country in a very, very long time, this tension, this palpitation, as India waited with bated breath. And let's take a moment to celebrate this feeling of unity that ISRO has invoked. Those last moments, creating an energy so strong, it's a moment that will be marked in history. A new era of scientific temperament has been sparked in India across people of all ages. And that in itself, if you ask me, is a huge achievement, one which will fuel our future aspirations. And tonight is a salute to the 16,000 men and women who worked on that one dream. We celebrate them, we salute them, and we hope that they will achieve greater heights. Salute to ISRO Chief Dr. Sivan, the son of a farmer who went to a Tamil medium school. From a hand-to-mouth existence, he's a man who rose and rose, and today is called India's Rocket Man. And over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about what next for ISRO as India stands, as Indians stand completely behind its space agency. Let's quickly listen in to what Prime Minister Modi had to say earlier in the day, and then we throw this open to our panelists.
हमें पीछे मुड़कर निराश नहीं होना है, हमें सबक लेना है, सीखना है, आगे भी बढ़ते जाना है और लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति तक रुकना नहीं। हम निश्चित रूप से सफल होंगे। हम मिशन के हर प्रयास में भी और उसके बाद के हर प्रयास में भी कामयाबी हमारे साथ होगी। 21वीं सदी में भारत के सपनों और आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने से हमें कोई भी क्षण की बाधा रोक नहीं सकती। आप सभी को आने वाले हर मिशन के लिए बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
All right. Let's open this up. K. Siddhartha with us on the broadcast. He's an earth scientist, a geostrategist, to talk more about where does ISRO go from here, where does our scientists go from here. Robindra Sachdev, international affairs expert, Mr. Deshratan Nigam, as well as Mr. Chetan Singh, political analyst with us on the broadcast. And in fact, Mr. Siddhartha, let me begin with you, sir. As a member of the scientific community, how proud the moment has been ever since, of course, we did, of course, get to know that there has been, the result was not what we had ideally wanted, not to the script, but nevertheless, a huge, huge step forward for India.
That's correct. See, when you're going to say that there has been anything of a failure, in science there is no such thing as failure at all. Largely because science is going to be all about experiments, and we have been saying it so. Now that is number one. Second is, so it has not been a failure, it has been an experiment. That experiment, the results of it has not 100% been in our favor. Second is, if you're going to take the steps and the technological upgradation that we went on to go through, First was the thrust, the amount of thrust that we had to generate from GSLV. Now that was a technological breakthrough. Then is orbiting of it was a technological breakthrough. The amount of load GSLV Mach 3 was able to carry, that was a technological breakthrough, a new one. The fourth was the orbiting of the whole of the Earth, and the orbit that we determined, that was a technological breakthrough. Then the lunar orbit transfer, that was a technological breakthrough. We went on to round on the moon, that was a technological breakthrough. The separation of lander from orbiter was a technological breakthrough. Then you going to take the trajectory of it, that was a technological breakthrough. And then it was only in the last moment that it was not so. But even if you consider, the orbiter is orbiting the moon in its polar orbit, not on the equatorial orbit. Now, what it means is, that is a very significant part. What it means is that while it goes on to orbit the whole of the moon in the polar sphere, the whole of the moon is going to be taking a turn from east to west. It's going to be rotating. Now that means that every inch of moon is going to be now having is going to be photographed with a 360-degree angle. That means it's going to be a stereoscopic and a 3D photograph of the moon that we are going to be having it. Now that is going to be an achievement. Moreover, we'll be able to take care of the X-rays emanating from the sun, from the orbiter. That is going to be a breakthrough. And moreover, since we have already formed a vision, that is, we are going to be checking the microseismicity, and we're going to take the plasma. All of this is a technological breakthrough. That means we have achieved, and we have achieved considerably. Moon has been a launching pad for us, and even if it is not that we have failed in this attempt, it's not that the mission has failed. It's only that an experiment has failed.
Yes.
Our Chandrayaan mission remains intact. Gaganyaan mission remains intact.
Exactly.
And the Mars mission remains intact.
Absolutely. Okay, let's also get in Anirban Banerjee as well, and ask him this question, Mr. Banerjee. This must be, of course, swelling your heart with pride as well.
Yes, of course. I mean, what the ISRO has done this time, a moon mission with some equipments that have cost, I guess, nothing more than 400 crores, if I'm correct, and which is among the cheapest among all the moon missions that have taken place till now, all over the world, that is. So what ISRO has done is something every Indian is proud of, and not just Indians, everyone from the scientific community all over the world should look towards ISRO in order to learn how to actually get things done in much cheaper ways and with the highest amount of technical knowledge possible. This is just commendable, to say the least.
Exactly. Robindra Sachdev, as I said, let's also salute the men and women, the scientists behind all that India has achieved so far. You're talking about 16,500 men and women who worked tirelessly for India to become a space superpower that I'm sure it will become sooner than we know it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, salutes to our, scientists in ISRO. In fact, there were 20 or 30 of my juniors from my engineering college who were also there in ISRO. So congratulations to the community of ISRO. Stepping back, last night when the news were coming in, I penned something and put on my Facebook today morning, which is your leading line also maybe. One small last step missed by a machine, one big step for mankind. So that's, I think, maybe, summarized. Last step missed. But I think there are a couple of things. One, the other thing which you mentioned, I think extremely important. This whole thing is fostering a scientific temperament in the country, right?
Exactly.
Thirdly,
yes.
last night, by the way, was a lucky night or a chance night in the sense it was a weekend, a Friday night. People were happy to stay up. The Prime Minister was there. Okay, people could sleep in late till the morning. So I would think that the audiences last night were very high, and you guys could check it out, as to what the numbers were. So the scientific temperament has really spread and more. So let's celebrate that also. A couple of last points. I also would think that another big lesson, I think, which has not been maybe articulated, but which should be there, end of the day, I think it's also a lesson in humility. Humility in the sense that man versus nature, technology versus nature. Sure, man and we are developing technology to the extent we can, but there does come a point where, man and nature, when they are, colliding or, coming together, we do not know what prevails. So let's salute that also, the extent of technology or man's thinking that technology is now kind of, virtually knocking on the doors of nature and pushing the frontiers.
Exactly. And I mentioned this in the beginning, and Rabindra Sachdev also touched upon it, which is that how much of scientific temperament has really now been pushed into our larger conversation, and that also has an impact and bearing on our future generations. Our scientists of tomorrow is equally important, Deshrat and Nigam, and I think that's one of the biggest contributions that have happened.
Being someone who has a space physics background, it really thrills me. I was watching somebody's tweet. He said, my 9 and 11-year-old daughters were yesterday night discussing about, slingshot of moon and funding of this thing and how the lander would land. So this is the level of interest and scientific temper which is being, created in the modern generation. And I was also watching an Australian TV channel where they consider India as a space superpower already. Because on the first attempt, the Mangalyaan was successful.
Yes.
In the first attempt, you have your orbiter.
Yes.
Right in place and mapping everything.
Which is going to give you information for 7 years.
And the attempt to South Pole is very, very important because this was the entire international community, space scientists were watching it, because this was to lay the basis for return of the humankind to the moon again.
Yes.
So everybody and the entire international community is sad today, let me tell you, but also very hopeful of the lessons learned from it, because the man's return to the moon depends on the landing on the South Pole.
Exactly.
And the setting up of these space research stations and everything. So this has achieved a lot, this mission. And I'm sure Indian scientists will come back with a big thump again on this issue within a couple of years, and they'll be ready. Because construction of the first machine is difficult.
Yes.
But subsequent machines are easier. And especially the reasons and the lessons learned from this will certainly give an improvement. And we are still analyzing the data. We don't know what has happened to the lander. Let us not presume it has crashed.
Exactly.
So the orbiter will also send photographs of what has happened to the fate of the lander.
Yes.
So all that data is being analyzed right now.
Exactly. That data is being analyzed, and we are still hoping for the best. But Chetan Singh, those of course are the images that the entire country saw, where you had Prime Minister Modi reaching out to Isro chairman. But it's the larger message that comes in to the scientific community, to Indian scientists, that you are doing a great job, and we know that you're only going to better yourself. And that, I think, is the single biggest motivation that our scientists need.
Absolutely. When it comes down to our scientists, space scientists, we know that they are exceptional in their work, and entire world knows about it. And if you will look at their numbers in NASA, you'll be surprised too. So therefore, in 1962...
But we would rather have them here than in NASA.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes without saying. Say, like, as my person here just mentioned it, that even Australian media is saying that India is a space superpower. So I don't think so only Australia says that. Even China, even America, all these countries, Russia, you're going to say that India is doing really very good when it comes down to space. So now you see, like in 1962, this Indian National Committee of Space got established. Who was, person behind, this thing? We all know that. In 1969, ISRO got established. And you see, like, during that time, the first rocket through bicycle, second through bullock cart.
Yes.
You look how we have traveled all these
Exactly.
journeys. Second, you see, in 1975, we used Soviet Union, launch pad for our Aryabhat.
Yes.
Space station, first space station which we have sent it across.
So it's been a remarkable journey. Yes.
It has been a remarkable journey, goes without saying. As you have said about scientific temperament, see, look at the series of journeys, victories, ISRO has traveled is something which is non-comparable. First, second most important point out here is that, you see, like, failure and success are two different things for scientists, because scientists, they keep on believing they are not failed, they have discovered something new. And when it comes down to this particular subject, I am sure 95% success is what 5% is yet awaited, data
Yes.
yet awaited.
Yes.
95% means if any kid or any student, when he secures 95% marks, what do? We celebrate sweets. I think it's a day of celebration today. And when you're going to say like this,
Okay.
see, the optics which you are showing it out here, I would have, appreciated
These
you,
are not
your
optics.
channel.
This is what the Prime Minister had interacted earlier in the day.
No,
Yes.
see, I mean, I appreciate, with all due respect and with humility, I believe today is the day of scientists. You should rather
It
focus
is a day of
more.
scientists.
It's a day of scientists. So that's the reason I'm saying if you would have displayed the pictures of scientists, their journey, as you have said, from humble beginning, from a farmer to whatnot.
So we have mentioned all of that. What's the dispute?
There is no dispute. I'm just trying to say it is important to
Wasn't
give
like
more
Mr.
and more
Modi's-
figures. No.
Modi's,
Please, sir, you're reading too much between the lines. With all due respect, I've said, see, it is not a moment. It is not a, opportunity to cut the ribbon. It is a, it's a collective journey. As I've said, 62, 69.
Yatindra Chaudhary, respond to that.
Please. No, my audio is not that clear. Can you repeat?
So if I may just paraphrase what Chetan Singh just said. He said that this is not a day of cutting ribbons. You said that. It's not a day of cutting ribbons. It's not a day of politicians. This is a day that belongs to the scientists. Though that's what all of us are saying. But yes, Chetan Singh made a specific point
Okay,
today.
is he saying that the presence of Prime Minister at the ISRO headquarters was a cutting ribbon occasion? I don't think so. It's a day of celebration, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. But Prime Minister was carrying the feelings of more than billion people of this country to ISRO. Sorry, I mean, that's not a correct way to put forward the things. Okay. The point is, this is a new beginning of the space program of the country. We should celebrate it. We should celebrate it. 90%, 95% of the program is successful, as said by ISRO chief. We should celebrate it. We should move forward. There are more bigger things coming our way. Gaganyaan is one. Moon mission is one.
Yes.
So let's not get into political fight here at all. Prime Minister has the vision. Everybody knows this. His message was of optimism, solidarity, hope to the ISRO team.
Yes.
And to the billion plus people of the country.
Okay. Yes.
So let's not get into all the political fight here.
All right.
Let's move forward of it.
Okay. Chetan, I'll give you a quick chance for a rebuttal, then I get Mr. Siddhartha back. This is, as the BJP spokesperson said, let's not get into, who actually, started ISRO and who was, the one fundamental to starting the Indian space program, who should ideally be there when these, events are there. It is just about politics and we should try and stay completely away from that.
See, we should absolutely, as you have said, we should stay away from that. This is what you have said. If you're going to speak to the scientists of ISRO, you will also get to know about it, the kind of pressure they've been feeling it from last 2-3 days or so, which they are used to of it. See, but the political pressure should not happen. This is what I like to say.
Where is the political pressure, sir?
I mean, again, what I'm trying to say need to be interpreted in a very optimistic manner through the optimistic question.
Explain
what
to
I'm
us
trying to
then,
say.
yes.
See, my only humble submission is that, let these guys do their work. Once the mission is successful and all this stuff, then, we should give them the kind of an opportunity to describe it, to put it across.
I don't know.
Then only at the end we should have this kind of, this.
Who stopped them from working? What Mr. Chetan is trying to put? Who stops?
Sir, nobody
Who stops them from working?
Sir, nobody is stopping them from work, but what I'm trying to say, ISRO is a most reputed organization, not only in our country, but across the globe. So therefore, we all want ISRO to get success immediately.
Totally agree, sir.
So how
And
is that,
therefore,
how is that
what I'm
even
trying
a
to
matter
say,
of dispute?
see, it's not a matter of dispute. I'm just trying to say, let the scientists
So
take
where is the
their
dispute
own course. Let them follow their own procedures. Let them do it the way they want to do it. What the only humble submission is that?
No, are you trying to say that the presence of Prime Minister has put pressure on the team? I don't think so at all.
So this kind of
I
a
don't
blame.
think so at all.
Sir, I think you are still in a political campaigning mode, sir.
You could have seen the mood of the ISRO.
Sir,
No,
I
sir,
think you are still in a political campaigning mood,
You
sir.
could have seen the
It
mood
is
of the
important for you to
ISRO
come out of
center
it.
when the
If
Prime
you
Minister
will be able
reached
to
there.
come out of it, then only you will be able
No,
to
sir.
interpret it.
No,
Let's
absolutely
get it
no.
off
No,
the-
absolutely no. No. Prime Minister is such who is
He
carrying
not
the
only
feelings
your
of
Prime
a million
Minister,
people.
He's our Prime Minister.
Let's not-
With all
He is there,
respect.
he's showing
Let's
his
for
goes
once
without
not
saying.
have a tutu meme debate on this, because trust me, the scientists,
Absolutely. You're also
you know,
in
the
mine
scientists
also.
don't
Everybody is Prime
care
Minister.
which is the government in power, which is the government in opposition. They don't care who is you know, doing what
Absolutely.
politics.
Absolutely.
And you know, Mr. Siddhartha on the panel would be supporting us on that. That, you know, when you talk about this optics, that optics, this person available, this person around, you know, or pressure, as Chetan Singh is saying, Mr. Siddhartha, none of that really matters to the scientific community. They only want to better themselves, and they only want to achieve milestones and newer heights.
See, I'm going to put it in a different manner. Both of the gentlemen on the panel, Chetanji and others, both of them are correct. Now, see, if you have a Prime Minister who can go on to market and brand the achievements of ISRO in such a manner, in such a global manner, it's a wonderful thing. Because ultimately, ISRO's aim is going to be economic. And the more he brands it, the more economic gains we are going to be getting it.
Okay.
Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that someone has taken credit out of ISRO, right? So, fortunately, we have a Prime Minister who is able to brand anything in a much better manner than anyone can go on to do it. So,
Okay.
and no one has taken a credit away from it. The achievements of ISRO goes beyond technology. That is, it goes beyond technology in the sense that it has inculcated a sense of a scientific temper in the country. It has created a brand image of the scientists in the country, so that a good number of young people now want to join ISRO and want to
Okay.
become a space scientist.
All
It
right.
has created a platform of a brand of ISRO which is much better than that of HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited,
Okay.
because it is one of these one of those organizations that is completely debureaucratized, and
Okay.
still it has been able to earn so much amount of respectability and money in the whole of the world.
Okay.
It is also important that ISRO has been branded in a manner which is one autonomous institution, an
Okay.
institution without interference, and it goes on to show to the whole of India what an autonomous organization without any political and
Exactly.
bureaucratic interference can go on to do.
Exactly.
So everything is going to be good. There's nothing wrong in it.
Exactly. Deshratha Nigam, you want to come in there, sir?
See, the fact remains, one must understand Department of Space, Science and Technology is with the Prime Minister. So he directly handles. There is no minister in between also. So he's the one who's taking, and there is a vision. There's a clear path laid down. He's the one who announced Gaganyaan, and he's the one who's taking direct interest in it. So being there, I think it's a part of his job. Directly handling a particular organization, yes, autonomy is there. They are doing their own job. But overall vision, the path that has to be taken has to come from the political leadership in consultation with the scientists.
Okay.
So there is nothing wrong, I feel, when a Prime Minister goes there, and especially after, you know, the last mile connection which could not be there, the way he handled the situation, the way he encouraged the scientists.
The way he reached out
yes,
to K. Sivan.
Yes, Sivan, and that's fantastic. That's what you call leadership.
Robin Sachdev, you want to come in there, sir?
Sure, perhaps a little bit. I mean, yeah, carrying on from what Deshratha ji is saying and the earlier speaker was saying, ISRO has had a special situation because it was, or it is always under the PM office, the Department of Atomic Energy and the Space, right? So therefore, it's never been under a ministry, irrespective of the Prime Minister. When we are talking about the public sector, so unfortunately, you know, like HAL, they're mentioning DRDO, which is being mentioned and all, they're also doing good, but for some reason or the other, ISRO has, I think, done the best amongst the various, you know, assets, the public sector, quote-unquote, assets that we have. ISRO has done the best. So perhaps there is a lesson there in that, you know, having, as the word was used, bureaucratized scenario has been helpful for ISRO in its growth all through, irrespective of whichever Prime Minister. But yes, right now, this Prime Minister is exceptionally good in branding, marketing, you know, leveraging the value or creating more value from whatever is in order to bring more momentum. So that's what Modi
And
is
especially
doing.
at a time when you have a lot of private sector interest
Oh,
as
yes.
well,
Oh, yes.
global private sector interest in space economics.
Absolutely.
Let's get in Anirban Banerjee there as well. Anirban Banerjee, I have a feeling you're the contra voice on the panel, but nevertheless, this is a complete freedom of expression and speech to everybody on the panel. Go ahead. What do you make of it?
At the risk of playing the devil's advocate, I would like to point my finger from, which Mr. Deshratan Nikam probably used, that is scientific temperament. I actually find it quite ironic and ridiculous that Mr. Deshratan Nikam, even the Prime Minister, belongs to the Sangh Parivar, which has for decades propagated facts, not facts, rather pseudo-facts and statements and ideas which are grossly unscientific. I mean, they have propagated ideas like cow urine cures cancer. I mean, there's Darwin theory is wrong. Mr. Modi,
But it's not like the ISRO is saying that.
Global warming doesn't.
It's not like the ISRO is saying that,
Please
sir.
don't divert,
It's
sir.
not
No,
like
of
the
course,
ISRO is
not
saying that.
that. Why would ISRO say that? ISRO
So
consists
this is
of
about the
scientists.
ISRO, right? This is about the organization called ISRO, right?
No, we are also speaking about Prime Minister. We are
Okay.
also speaking about the BJP. We have got a BJP spokesperson. So they belong from the Sangh Parivar, most of them. And even the BJP ministers have been propagating ideas like, I mean, what to say, they are so grossly unscientific that they are actually unconstitutional. We should, even the government, each and every person from India, according to the constitution, should promote scientific temperament, critical thinking, etc., etc. The Sangh Parivar and
Okay.
their partners have been doing the exact opposite. And yet they are here trying to take credit for whatever the scientists have done.
Okay. All right. So I have to give a chance to Deshratan Nigam as well as Yatindra Chaudhary to respond to that. Deshratan Nigam.
See, let me tell you, I mean, it's a very classical tactic of, diverting the topic. He did not answer about ISRO, but went on to so many other things. Scientific temper does not mean that you reject everything that you have, the legacy and the past that you have. You learn from there and move on and combine the modern technology with your ancient values
Okay.
and thought. That is what your scientific temper is. And then you take the vision forward.
Okay.
Now, rejecting everything, what our past is, what Anirban wants, let it be for him, not for us.
Okay. Yatindra Chaudhary. Yes.
Madam, my audio is really bad. Can you just summarize what the previous speaker said?
Okay, so the TMC leader essentially saying that the RSS has been propagating unscientific attitudes, and here they are at the forefront of being part of something that of course would be breakthrough in terms of future scientific innovation.
I don't know from where RSS come in this. I mean, I was seeing the Mamata Banerjee statement yesterday, where she was raising a question mark on the Chandrayaan 2 project, saying it's a divert tactic on the economic policy of the country. I mean, madam, there's a bunch of people in the country.
Okay.
Whole mindset is that no matter what is there, they
Yes.
have to criticize Prime Minister
Yes.
Modi and BJP and
Okay.
RSS.
Okay, all right.
If you remember, there was an airstrike. At that time also they said that no, army has done it. There
Okay.
is no way BJP or the
All
government
right.
has done
No
anything.
airstrikes, no Balakot
So it's
tonight,
in
no
their blood
surgical
now.
strikes.
You can't-
This is
you
about
can't
the
do anything.
scientists.
The public
I
will
started
respond.
this panel discussion with the scientist on the panel. I'm going to end it with Mr. Siddhartha, because as I said, this is a day to be proud of our Indian scientific community and their contribution. Mr. Siddhartha, where does ISRO go from here?
We go on to go only forward. We go on to go into rocket science and real rocket science. Our Gaganyaan project is going to be on. Imagine when we started orbiting Mars, what China said, it said that is the pride of Asia. Now we have got a technology to build a lander, almost a lander, and we have a technology to build a rover with slight amount of modification. We are going to be, the next step is going to be Mars.
Yes.
Who knows, we are going to be going all the way to Saturn and Titan as well. Also going to think that we will be one of the first countries in the world to invite tourists, because our space program is very, very cheap.
Yes.
It is the cheapest space program in the whole of the world.
Yes.
And you never know that tomorrow African satellites are going to be launched from India.
Yes.
Middle Eastern satellites are going to be launched from India.
Yes.
Because India can go on to launch them at such a cheap price.
Exactly.
And the defense offshoots of it can go on to be providing so much amount of security to the country that will be safe. Space
All right.
is the answer for almost everything. And space to us now is not a rocket science.
That's a fair point you made, sir. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks much to our panelists. I'm going to slip into a break, come back on the other side and talk about why is it that foreign media has been condescending? Why is it that foreign media has been coming out with those jokes, with those articles? What really is the entire thought process there? Why is it that foreign media is so racist when it comes to India's space achievements? More on that after this break. Stay with us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.